Good morning, boys. Monday morning, and the sun is finally out 2 days in a row. Finally. Just finally. I'm telling you. Unbelievable. We got a lot to talk about this week. What a weekend. DWG with none other than Canelo Bellos. And I will say this. Why don't we start off with boxing? I'm not a huge boxing fan. I like a good boxing match, though. And Canelo Alvarez beat Daniel Jacobs on Saturday night. His second fight of his DAZN contract, and I bring it up because I recently purchased the DAZN package for the restaurant because of Champions League, and it turns out there's going to be a couple more events like the Europa League, and there's going to be all of Canelo's fights. He signed in the wintertime. He signed the biggest contract in the history of pro sports for an athlete. 10 fights, 365 milli, and what was billed to be a pretty good fight ended up being what I would consider a one-sided fight. The reason why I like UFC is usually you have an end result and finish, but I understand the purists, and I understand that the boxing is a science and it's an art, and you know, it's not always about knocking the guy out. It's sometimes about winning more rounds, and that's what we saw on Saturday night. So congratulations to Canelo Alvarez. He's unified some title bout fights, and he's already set himself up for the next one. So we'll see. And Cinco de Mayo. So all the Cinco de Mayo fans, the Mexicans, the tequila, and the Tecate beer, and the Corona, and the tacos. We love them all. What else? On Saturday night, we had the Kentucky Derby. And Maximum Security pulls out a win in a very wet track in Louisville. I've been through Louisville, and Emily has run an Ironman in Louisville. I would love to go back to Louisville. I'm telling you, it is a beautiful, beautiful little town. And someday I'll get back. They got the Louisville Slugger Museum there. They probably got some minor league ball, and then of course they have University of Kentucky, which Kentucky basketball game would be pretty cool experience to go to as well. So anyways, Maximum Security, and I got a little story I'll finish off with in DWG about horse racing, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Yesterday, the Toronto Raptors defeated the Philadelphia 76ers by 6 points. It really came down to the shot that Kawhi made, the three-point shot near the time clock buzzer, right in front of Joel Embiid. Hits the three. That was the deciding shot, in my opinion. The Raptors played really good in the first half. They just weren't making shots. And to be honest with you, if they had made shots, they would have probably won by like 15. Easy. But the problem is they haven't been making shots, and that's the reason why they're tied 2-2. The series should be 3-1 if they were making shots. Philly is leaving guys wide open, and they're just saying, try to make it. Go ahead and try to make the shot. And no one's making the shots. Kyle Lowry needed a big game yesterday, and I guess by his playoff standards, he had a big game. But by his normal standards, he did not. He still hasn't showed up. We need more from Kawhi Leonard. Pascal Siakam played injured. Interesting to know, Joel Embiid actually is going through a bit of a flu or fatigue. And he was taking IV yesterday at 6 a.m. So, you know, you're going up against Joel Embiid that's not 100%. But you did get home court back. So my expectation is the Raptors need to take a stranglehold of this series. I think it's going to go 7 at this point. I think when Philly won their second game, I think Philly's good enough to win another one. I think Toronto's probably good enough to win another one, and we're going to decide it next Sunday, 3:30 bucket, Game 7. for all the marbles in Toronto and all the Toronto fans that get their hearts fucking ripped out again, just like every sport. What else? Well, Ken Holland has left the Detroit Red Wings to go to the Tire Fire. It's fitting how the Detroit Red Wings have a tire, and now he's going to the Tire Fire of the league. The Edmonton Oilers. I'm actually shocked. At first I was really, really shocked because it's 5 times 5, which is a pretty good contract, and then he'll be off to the sunset. And then after I thought about it, I thought, well, maybe it's not so shocking. Maybe this smells of he was forced out of Detroit, because for him to recruit and then take another GM job real quick, it's very, very similar to the situation that Lou Lamoriello was in when he was pushed up into senior office with the New Jersey Devils, and then he took the Toronto gig right away. So I'm almost wondering if the Ilitch family said, okay, enough's enough, Kenny, you've had your time, you pick the next GM, you move up, and you can just ride off into the sunset. And he did so in a classy and quiet fashion, and then all of a sudden he wants to still be a GM, so he takes this job. Some Oilers fans on Twitter are absolutely idiots. They're upset that they're getting Ken Holland. And my rebuttal to that is, you're in Edmonton. Who the fuck wants to go to Edmonton? Nobody. You should be lucky that anybody wants to work for the Edmonton Oilers, let alone Ken Holland, who's won 3 Stanley Cups as a GM, not 4, but 3. And the fact that Ken Holland is an unbelievable person of talent. Yes, did he buy 2002? But you know what? He had 2008. He had 97. I mean, give the guy some credit. He's not there to re-sign players. He's not. And some idiot posted on Twitter all these bad signings that Holland's had in the last 5-6 years. No one's fucking signing in Edmonton. No one is. Ken Holland is brought in to strip it down. Stripping down it's not easy, but it's a hell of a lot harder than building. And I've been saying this for 2 years. The Detroit Red Wings are not that far off. The only reason the Detroit Red Wings didn't make the playoffs this year, in my opinion, is they didn't have any fucking goaltending. They didn't have any goaltending, and their defense was getting a little bit long in the tooth. But the Detroit Red Wings haven't had any goaltending for 4 years. Jimmy Howard is overrated. Peter Mrazek is shit. I mean, when they had their goalies, they weren't performing. They have really good players. And some of those players that everyone's saying that they signed that are on bad contracts, yeah, their AVV might be a little bit high, but those are players that you want in the playoffs. They just haven't had a chance to shine. Those are the exact players that you want in the playoffs. And you know what? The Montreal Canadiens have the exact same thing. They couldn't get in. They've got guys that aren't regular season stars. Unlike the Toronto Maple Leafs and Tampa Bay Lightning, who are filled with regular season stars, Montreal and Detroit have playoff guys with grit, who can skate, who can match up. If they ever got into the playoffs, those two teams, they could absolutely upset somebody in the first round, because all those players are tough to play against and they can skate you into the ground as well. So for people to say, oh, this guy's worth not that much and this guy's worth, well, yeah, in the regular season, if you look at his regular season numbers, but Ken Holland didn't sign those guys because of the regular season. Ken Holland signed those guys because those are the guys you'd want to go to war with. So for the Edmonton Oilers fan who's upset that Ken Holland is your GM, and you would have bitched and complained about if it was Keith Gretzky, you would have bitched and complained about that it was an unproven GM in Mark Hunter, who's an awesome guy and should actually be a GM in the league because he's an amazing evaluator of talent. I'm just saying, you guys are fucking dumb. You live in Edmonton, you deserve it. Ken Holland is the best thing that's happened to you guys in 20 years, aside from Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. So just shut your yap and let the guy do his job and move on, okay? Keep shoveling your fucking driveway in May with snow. That's all I gotta say. Jays are up and down. You know, there's going to be a consistency factor with the Jays all season. They're just not good enough. Simply put, they're just not good enough. Boston's starting to put it together now, and everyone's kind of almost slotted in where they should. Tampa Bay is going to slow down a bit here, and the Yankees and Red Sox are going to do what they always do. They're going to get better as the season goes on, and those are the two teams that are going to fight for the top spot in the AL. The NL Central, which is one of my favorite divisions. Every single team except for Kansas City is above 500. That's an unbelievable division right now, with St. Louis and Pittsburgh and Milwaukee and who's the team I'm forgetting? Chicago Cubs. That's a really good division, and anytime you get a chance to see any four of those teams play, you should, because they got some great players. It's awesome. So, what else I want to talk about today? Big Game 6 tonight, Boston and Columbus. Boston's going to win that series. They're going to go on and play Dougie Hamilton and the Carolina Hurricanes. And we're going to see a bunch of fucking clown shit between Brad Marchand and Dougie Hamilton. That's what's going to happen. San Jose, I think, plays tonight as well. I'm rooting for San Jose. I know Colorado's got a great team, but listen, Colorado's got a lot of good years ahead of them, and I'm going to say St. Louis, or San Jose is going to win. St. Louis won yesterday, big game, 4-1 win. They pull a Game 7. We get a Game 7. Game 7 Tuesday night, and it's in St. Louis, and I'm sticking with my guns, and I'm going to pick St. Louis. St. Louis, San Jose, what a hell of a series that's going to be. Joe Thornton is going to drop the gloves with Alex Pietrangelo, and then he's going to drop the gloves with Justin Williams in the final to set the tone. Jumbo is getting ready to hoist the cup. No, it's actually going to be Boston-San Jose. That's the only thing I'm praying for right now, Boston-San Jose. And also, tonight, the Ottawa 67s up 2-0 in their series. 14-0, 2 wins away from the OHL title and OHL CHL immortality. If they go 16-0 and then go undefeated in the Memorial Cup, I'm saying it right now, they are the greatest junior hockey team of all time. They are greater than the 2005 London Knights, because the London Knights did not do that. The London Knights did not do that. And the Ottawa 67 rolling 14-0, about to go up 3-0 against a very good but tired Guelph team. They're a wagon. 67s are a wagon. We'll see what happens. All right, boys, I'll fill you in with that story a little bit later on. I got a little bit of work to do, but maybe on the way home I'll send my little story of horse racing and conclude with a 2-parter DWG on Mondays. Have a great day from Canelo Bellows. Look at that height. Look at the height on that fucking thing right there. That's like 1980s moose right there. But anyways, I got to get to work. Let's go, pitter patter.